Welcome back to Chris.
And Chris.
I'm your host, Chris Canty, and we also have Christopher Byrd here. We also have not Chris, honorary Chris.
Oh
He's
man,
part of the Witness Protection Program, and his name shall not be named on this podcast.
Yeah, hello, it's good to be here. It's really good to
Yeah,
be here.
yes, yes. We're here today to talk about men's mental health. As it is Men's Mental Health Month, it is the month of June. Sorry we haven't been on the weekly schedule as usual. Me and Chris have a very busy schedule, so you'll get an episode when you get an episode. All right,
that's the best way to say it.
that's the best way we can put it. So whenever we drop an episode, be ready. So in order
hmm
to be ready, you got to follow the Crisscross Studios Apple Podcast channel, or go to the YouTube channel Crisscross Studios on YouTube. Click the subscribe button, share it with your friends, get notified for all of our new videos, including Crisscross Corner, Great Debaters, Turn Up the Music Podcast, Top 5, and the Great Debaters. So, without further ado, we're going to talk about men's mental health. Um, I'm gonna say stuff that I know about men and mental health is like mostly culturally across the world, mostly in the Black community. Um, Men and boys are not taught to talk about their emotions,
All right.
usually. Um, and then they grow up not talk about their emotions, which they need to talk about their emotions or know how to, navigate their way through, you know, making sure their emotions are put in check and knowing who to talk to when they need help. A lot of people, mostly men, because we're talking about men, um, don't know how to seek for help. And that's why most suicides happen during college, right after college, or in their middle-aged years. So this show is here to talk to you about how to find help, not to make a permanent decision based on a temporary situation, and stop the perception that men don't know about mental health. We're going to talk about mental health today. So that's all the show's about. We have Christopher Byrd, a resident therapist, recreational therapist. Okay, that's your profession. So
hmm
I'm gonna let you take it away because I'm just gonna sit here and listen to you, because this is your forte.
Right. Right. So, well, I'll say, thanks, Chris, even just for the opportunity to talk about something that I am very, very deeply passionate about, men's mental health. And the weird thing is about it is that I feel that a lot of people in society right now, in a general sense, is becoming more aware as far as the effects of mental health in regards to men. Traditionally, women are more verbal as far as addressing mental health, whether it's say anorexia, depression, PTSD, whatever the case may be. While a lot of men are really just out there just suffering in silence. You ever come across somebody who may be the loudest, most happiest guy in the room, but behind closed doors, that person's suffering in silence. I mean, how many times have we heard over the last few years of people who we had the perception that they were fine, that they had a perfect life, perfect family, all the money in the world, and they end up all of a sudden taking their own lives. For example, Robin Williams. When he died, that shocked everybody because nobody saw that coming. Nobody did. And a bunch of other people, even like what was the DJ from the Ellen show? I can't remember his name right
Oh
now.
yeah, he did. He did commit
He did,
suicide.
yeah, and no one saw it coming. Nobody did. Um, when it comes down to mental health, men statistically are 4 times likely to pass away and die from suicide as opposed to women.
Hmm.
And with that, even in the black community, Chris kind of alluded to a couple things earlier on, but I'll kind of expand on that just a little bit. When you look at generational things that's been passed down, when you think about the old phrase of "it's okay, man up" or "toughen up," or like "men don't cry," those type of things, I'm sure all three of us in here we've all heard that at some point, whether may have been from fathers or a father figure or just older men who've been around since the Depression era, the Vietnam era, so on and so forth. People just grown up or so. What we're seeing right now is that it's being encouraged more so to not just man up, but to also speak up as well. Especially in times like this, to where all three of us, we had the luxury of being able to remember what life was, and how the world was before social media, before technology became as advanced as it was today. We all
Mhm.
remember times where if you had your buddies around, y'all all talked to each other and actually knew each other's, phone numbers and called them and said, "Hey, let's all go to the park. Let's go to the soccer field. Let's watch cartoons together, etc." But most times that people are actually bonded with each other right now, especially when it comes to men, are mainly just through like are many just through let's go to the park. Let's go to
Uh-oh, we lost Chris again. Yeah, it's definitely his Wi-Fi.
Hmm.
Honorary Chris, Yeah, the lot.
Um,
The DJ's name was Stephen T. Witch Boss, which he was a hype. He was
yeah,
hype on Ellen.
yeah, Twitch. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna drop the voice just because of the seriousness of the topic, right? Um, but I think it's fair to say that men deal with not to say women don't, but men tend to deal with a lot of this stuff, and Chris Bird was right. A lot of it in silence, right? Um,
Hmm.
because it's just people. It's just kind of expected that guys will just handle it. They'll just deal with it, and that's it's a lot to put on us internally and externally, right? And I remember a year ago,
my God.
I think somebody had put up a TikTok and was like, "Hey, guys, are you okay? Like, this is just a space for you to just be honest and open. Are y'all okay?" And pretty much every single guy, it was like some hundreds of thousands of responses or something, and they were just like, "No, no, we're not okay.
No.
It's just we're not." And that I think that's very telling.
Hmm.
Right. Now I'll say this. Now, I love my statistics, so I'm gonna throw a couple of them at you. The third leading cause of death for African American males ages 15 to 24 is suicide. African American men ages 20 to 24 have the highest suicide rates among African Americans of all ages, male and female. African American teenagers are now more likely to attempt suicide than are white teenagers. And also, adult African Americans are 20% more likely to report serious psychological distress than white male adults.
That's true.
Now, these statistics came from the good people of the National Institute of Mental Health. Highly recommend actually checking those things out. And of course, obviously, the statistics post pandemic, they're probably even higher, because
Yeah.
especially when we were like, even when we were thinking, what the hell's gonna happen with the world? Like, are we ending? And then, oh, that's another thing. Or so when all the, like, just men in general, a lot of people really don't understand, really, or they think that they understand what men go through, especially the good men who are out there. The men who are out there, like obviously in Chris's case, obviously, Chris is not just a dad, Chris is a father. There is a big difference.
Big
There's a
difference.
huge difference. You have moms and you have mothers. I have met men at 25. I have met children at 56. Because some people, even though they are older, it doesn't make them more mature. It really don't. It really don't.
It doesn't.
And I truly believe that in order for, like, generational curse in order to change generational curses, you have to change generational mindset. Eventually, if I were ever get blessed, to have children or so, I would highly encourage them because the way that healthcare is right now and the amount of resources that are out there right now, there are way more resources out there now as opposed to even 15, 20 years ago, or even when our parents were all growing up. It's more like the way our society is right now is becoming more aware about the effects of mental health because there's a for the people who watch comics out there, there's a famous quote from a Batman comic called The Killing Joke. And it said in there, it only takes one bad day to drive the sanest man to lunacy.
Mm.
I cannot tell you how true that is to so many men out there because you may wake up one day and you may just say, it's not worth it anymore. And the worst day that I think a man can actually have on God's green earth is the day to where he looks himself in the mirror and says that this is not who I want to be. And not just saying that this is not who I want to be, but saying that I've lost the will to fight to change what I don't like. That's the worst day, in my opinion. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of good men out there who, even though they have their own flaws, because ain't there's nobody perfect. Forget whatever they may say as far as like, oh, female saying, oh, I want a high value man. I want a man who makes like six figures. So like sweetheart, take that 50 cent, buy yourself a cup of coffee and shut the fuck up. Cause that shit right there. So that's just what that's just what the movies and what television, that's what they portray. But a lot of those times that's just Hollywood stuff. That's not real life stuff. There are good men out there who are raising their kids, who are taking care of their parents, who are people of integrity, who don't want to know, who actually don't believe in just, trying to fuck everything that moves. And so people who actually want to say, hey, I actually want to make a viable, positive change in my environment, in my community, and who do that with a smile on their face. And a lot of times they do not get celebrated. Where there's other people who do get into very scandalous lifestyles or whatever the case may be that's very negative, detrimental, but all of a sudden they get lauded. And if you're a good man out there and you know exactly who you are, you may think that, wait a minute, they do negative, but they can cheer, but I do positive, but no, there's no spotlight on me. Where's the love at for me or so? And
Right.
and when it comes to those people, honestly, for those men, keep doing what you're doing because at the end of the day, you never know who's watching. Because the worst thing that a person can lose is their integrity. It could take
Mhm.
years to build up, but it takes a couple of minutes or even one act for it to go away. And even though, and even though, yes, it is very very stressful for all that. Um, with all the resources that are out there, if you have to call a friend, please call a friend. Please call, like different. If you have like a local counseling center. I myself have been through counseling, and so I've done it. And it's helped, even in my own personal life, for sure, because you never know what's gonna pop up. But I would rather speak up than to be spoken of from loved ones who I may never see again. Because at the end of the day or so, life, I believe, is just way too precious and way too valuable to fight an inside war between who others want you to be and who you want to be. And even if there's a big gap between where you're at right now and where you want to be, and then everything else in the middle, I would rather fight that, fight to close that gap with people who I know, who I can trust, and resources of people who can even build me up. Because you never know what it can mean for a man to hear that, hey, I'm proud of you, or hey, keep going, or hey, you're doing a good job, and so on and so forth. So, man, I need my time. I feel I was just preaching for a minute.
You was preaching. I was like,
Man,
you finished. Oh, whoa, okay. I was like, someone bring the offering bucket.
Yeah.
But yeah, so of course I'm gonna go through my personal life right now. But I mean, um, mainly pretty decent. College. Of course you get rejected, get in a relationship, breakup, rejection, boom, boom, ups, downs. Then you have to start paying bills. That's more of a stress on your life. So depression sets in. You get your degree, don't have that job that you wanted, that you really wanted when you got out of college, but you still had a
Mm,
job. I still had a job when I got out of college,
right.
in my field that I wanted to be in, but just wasn't where I was supposed to be. I thought at the time. Glad I did it because now I'm here where I'm at now. Um, but yeah, mental health in college for me wasn't as bad as you hear like the worst case scenarios of people, committing suicide and attempting to commit suicide or thinking about committing suicide. Um, I was lucky enough not to be part of those three groups, but I know people who have been in those groups. I know people who are not with us today because they were part of those three groups. Um, Adults and teenagers and kids alike. So it's a very, very serious thing to talk about. And I think it hits more to home when you actually know someone or you yourself has been, contemplating, harming yourself or been depressed or anxious or very stressed out or just want to disappear, not like kill yourself, but like disappear from life, disappear from
Right.
your job, don't show up to, because that's a huge thing too. When COVID was here, that was my first ever office, like full-time office job. Was I was working for a firm in Ann Arbor. January 2020 was my
Mm,
first, January 3rd, 2020. That was my first day at that office. Then March 2020 happened.
mm,
We had to go home. Well, I was still getting paid for that, but I wasn't used to being in an office. So when we had to go back to the office, I was like, hey, I like being home. This was nice. 16 months at
hmm.
home. Like, hey.
It
And
does seem
then a
to.
lot of other things happened. Family members died of COVID, of course. Family members that I was close to died of COVID. Church members that I knew died of COVID, either died of COVID or committed suicide or just disappeared from life. Grandparents, one has a huge breathing problem, other one had a stroke at the same time. So there's a lot of stuff going on in my life. And mental health at that time was actually at a low point, to a point where I was not showing up to work. Like no call, no show. Like that's how bad it was. Um, can't change the past, but if I could do it all over again, I wish I could have had someone to talk to at that point. But you know, God gives second chances, so I'm glad that I'm where I'm at now. So that's my whole last 5 years of my career. So mental health is actually a very crucial thing, and my daughter will definitely know because now, like you said, there's things that we know now that 20 years ago they didn't have for our parents. There's stuff that we
Right.
hadn't had before COVID 5 years ago
Exactly.
that we have
Literally.
now. Like mental health is now covered through your insurance if you have it.
Exactly.
Back then you had to go and pay like thousands of dollars for a therapist. Now you have one for free, through
And,
health insurance if your
yeah.
health
Now.
insurance covers it.
Right. Or if you're like your local area, if they have say a community counseling center or so or anything of that nature. See, that's like one of the best things that kind of came out of the pandemic was all the
Mhm.
changes that they made. And that was a humongous change. Now, granted, should that happen? Well, it would have been nice if that was around when 9/11 happened, when the recession happened, when
Mhm.
when Black Friday happened in 90. Wait, no, was that 91 or 89 when the market crashed? Well, one of those 2 years or so. But yeah, it would be nice if those things were there back then. But the best thing that, like you're saying before, Chris, even for for your daughter and for our future kids, even just for kids growing up, like your younger cousins, my younger cousins, Walt's younger cousins, and just in general, it's gonna be better for them. And I think that's the most important thing. We just pass that down. So
Right. If it's taught to them right.
yes,
because it
Huge.
wasn't taught from our parents.
Oh Lord.
We're the generation that has to change it. Our generation has to change it. You, me, honorary Chris, we have to change this because our parents didn't teach it to us. They were the last generation to say, "Suck it up,
Yeah.
be a
Because
man,
they
men
yeah,
don't
'cause they
cry."
did
Well,
right.
guess what?
Cause they
Men cry and then they kill themselves.
mm-hmm.
So how are we going to change that?
and ev- and the worst thing about that, is that when even after that, like even if after that happens, and when everybody gathers around the funeral, the one common thing that happens is that people will say, "I wish I had known sooner." That's
Mhm.
the common thing that happens. I wish I had known sooner.
Yep.
Well, if you took the eyes off of just traditional thinking and actually think, hey, what is this person dealing with? And how can I be of assistance to them? Like the two most important, like I know people love gifts, especially with Father's Day coming up or just birthdays or whatever kids
His Wi-Fi is going out again.
and your undivided attention. Because some people need that.
Yep.
Some people need
Yep. Some people need that. He's out of here, man.
Somebody to love. And
Somebody, can anybody
anybody
find
find.
me? Somebody to love.
Yeah, no, but he is right though. Like, because you said, you've got some people that aren't here because of the routes that they chose or the routes they took. I know some people that are. I was almost the person that would have been in that same thing, right? And so it's something where you look back and Byrd had a point. It was like 1 in 4 men or whatnot. It's a lot of it. Just we've done a lot. You're right. We have done so much more to promote like our own mental health across the board, not just for men, but for women and for everybody in between. But there is still so much more that we need to do. And we are like we're the generation that's going to have to be the ones to change it. Because I like we've talked a bit about stuff and it's like no, it's like it's half the stuff like my parents or like my dad said to me is like I couldn't say that to like my kids in the future. Pretty sure that counts as abuse in some ways. Like it's just
Mhm.
we're the generation that's noticing this and we're changing it, and that's what's important, and that's what we have to do.
Right. That's what we definitely have to do. And I'm going to we'll close out the show by talking about tips for improving your mental health. We're doing this right now. We're here on the show, which started off, a lot of people don't know that Crisscross Studio started off as in COVID. I just wanted to connect with all my people because during the beginning of COVID, for people who are watching this after 2020, COVID, when it was in its infancy, was like, if you catch this, you're going to die.
Yeah,
Literally.
that was so scary. That was scary. That was
So,
actually scary.
right. So the beginning 3 months, like March, April, May, maybe into June, like I was on Zoom every day trying to connect with everybody. Like, hey man, this might be the last time I'm talking to y'all. So let's just let everything out. What's your favorite cereal, bro? And after that conversation, we were like, you know what? Let's start a podcast. And that's how Great Debaters started. That's how Crisscross Corner started. Kris and Chris. At that time, only Amigo started. We started all these shows just
oh
because we
man.
were like, hey, when this all goes down, when the clock runs triple zeros on our life from COVID, we're gonna have this footage on YouTube. Okay. So and that's number one. That's the number one tip. Build social connections, healthy social connections, not
Oh
just
my
the
God,
stuff that,
yes.
Mhm.
oh, I'm going to give you this because you want to hear this. No, be a friend like me. Tell you what you need to hear so you can improve your damn life. Okay.
Mhm.
Another one, engage in a hobby that you like, a hobby that doesn't seem like you're wasting time or taking up time out of your day. You know,
Right.
video games, that might be a good hobby. Some people like gardening. Some people like reading books. Some people like collecting albums. Some people like doing certain things that help them become happy. Just a like escape from life and say, hey,
hmm
this makes me happy, and then come back to regular life. Because without some of these
Yeah.
hobbies, a lot of people's lives are actually like go to work, go home, go to work,
Yeah.
go home, which is for some people, it's a very stressful life. You know,
And
especially with the wages.
not only that, but I'll even add on. Some people go to work. Some people come home to work. But
Oh
that's
man,
another story for another day. But
I
that's
understand.
another story. Another thing I'll even add on there. So journaling. I personally I enjoy journaling.
Mhm.
There is some
Hmm.
deep shit in this journal.
True.
There's some deep shit that's in here. But
Not,
guess
not
what?
not
You know,
not that I read it, but
right. Not yeah.
but
No, but
even though
but
even though
shut up,
to
man.
add on what Chris said, like
My God.
journaling, like all my top 10 lists are in a journal. I write, I get my thoughts on paper, let it go,
Yeah.
let it all out, leave it all on the
Yeah.
paper. I also draw. When I was growing up, I used to draw maps of every city. So if you give me a city, I could draw it. That's how of a photographic memory I have. Okay. So I'll still do that to this day.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm having a bad day, I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, count to 10, get a piece of paper out, start drawing. If
Mm-hmm.
that's what helps you, hey, do that. If taking a drive around town, if that
Oh,
helps you,
oh yes.
a nice Sunday
Oh yeah.
afternoon drive.
Get your favorite playlist on or what have you. Roll the windows down, just feel that breeze or so, and just like listen to
Mhm.
whatever, and just like
Mhm.
just chill, man. Or even if you play an instrument, definitely that's a big one. Or
Mhm.
better yet, even and I don't know if you said it already, but watch something that will make you laugh.
Watch some comedy, man. Watch some funny shit.
I if like even like I know for me personally, if I have a day to where if I'm just feeling down or if I need to say, you know what, I'm just not feeling it today, and if I just need a laugh, me personally, what I always do, I would either like sometimes I will rewatch old episodes of the Great Debaters, specific ones,
Mhm.
um, or what I would also do, and I will watch, what's one of my favorite shows? I would watch old montages of Shaq and the Fool from inside the NBA with Shaq and Charles. And so that is the instant 5 minutes. I'm good.
Or
I am good.
mine's the butt fumble.
Oh
Mine's the butt
gosh,
fumble.
hilarious.
Butt fumble.
Butt fumble
That's
or certain outtakes for certain shows. It's
yeah.
hilarious.
What? Wait. Would it be Super Bowl 48?
No, just no out like certain outtakes from shows, like like
Oh,
at the end of the show, they sort of outtakes and stuff.
oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Drive
but
out of
I
zero.
always go back to when we were at Eastern, walking to the student center. You showed me
Oh God.
the Arizona Cardinals versus the Minnesota Vikings, the last touchdown, and he toe touched into the end zone, and
Oh my
the
gosh.
commentator went nuts. I was like, "This is
Insane.
hilarious." Then they showed the crowd with all the people who won was like, "Yeah," and all the people who lost was like, "No." It was too funny.
And the funny thing with that is like if you understand like the backstory of all that, that would make it even 30 times funnier if you
Right.
understood the
True.
backstory with that. But
But yeah,
that's the 30 for 30 right there.
get something to make you laugh, okay? And we only got 2 minutes
Please.
left, so I'm gonna use these last 2 minutes to be Mr. Chris Canty right now. I'm gonna give you what you need to hear. What you need to hear, men and women around the world, including myself, because I'm guilty of this. You gotta get your exercise. If you don't get exercise, your brain starts, saying, "Oh, I need to be sluggish." Oh,
Mm,
my brain's saying, "Oh, these bad thoughts are going in your head." The idle mind is a very dangerous place. Okay,
very.
and it mostly happens when you're not active. Okay, so get regular exercise. People say at least 30 minutes. No, at least an hour a day. You need to be moving, like hard breaths, moving, lifting, running, playing a sport, doing something. Okay.
Mm,
Um, Physical activity at least 3 times a week, so 3 hours a week, will reduce the risk of depression and anxiety. That's why a lot of people are anxious now because they're not getting any physical work done.
Mhm.
Okay.
right.
Also, with getting physical, You need to nourish your body. Not only does the brain need to be moving and being physical, it needs to be replenished and fed. So water, milk, sugar-free stuff without the fake sugars, okay? Fruits, vegetables. Learn your blood type so you know what foods actually help your body instead of take away from your body, okay? Limit alcohol, sugar, and processed foods from your diet and refined carbs, because that's why you got a big back now. Okay, I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself right now. I'm looking in the mirror and saying, Chris, stop eating these refined sugars and carbohydrates. Stop drinking the cranberry juice.
Oh, not the cranberry juice.
Stay away from Smoothie King, because all the juices they put in have sugar in it.
Oh my gosh.
Smoothie King.
Smoothie King is so good, y'all. I'm just saying. But please nourish your body. Instead of those cheap meats, go get the lean meats, the grass-fed meats. You know, healthy fats, healthy vegetables, fruit, whole grains, the fruits that help you based on your blood type.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Chris told us earlier in the show, and he's also a therapist as well. Consider counseling.
Please.
Talk to somebody. Okay. That's the only way. These are the only steps. These are the easy steps. Okay. For some, they might be a little harder, but these are the steps we're giving you to make sure that your mental health is priority number one. And when it's number one, that's a step towards a better life and a better mental health. Okay. Any last words before we end the show today?
The other one thing that I was saying, and it would be almost criminal if we didn't even plug this.
Okay.
If you yourself, or if you know someone who may be going through a difficult time, or maybe considering taking their own life, the number 2, the suicide crisis lifeline is 988.
988.
That would be criminal if that would be criminal if that was not a plug on this episode. And the most important thing, and another thing I can say as well is saying that it is something that I've learned over my own life or so, is that the journey gets easier when you focus on the person you're becoming and not the destination you're trying to reach. Because the destination, the destination that's going to be there, but when you start to enjoy, like, knowing the fact that you know a little bit more now, or that you know a little bit more every day or every week or maybe even every year or so, then you'll look back and say, man, I really did learn a whole lot. And some people, they may learn things a little bit later, but guess what? That's okay. Because if you ask me, it's just like with the college degree. They don't have, like, degrees don't have dates. It's just as long as you got it.
You got it.
So 988.
988. And also, this is also criminal if we didn't finish off the show by saying this. Knowing that what we know now and what we've been taught from our parents, and they've been taught by their parents, and they've been taught by their parents, that seeking help is not weakness. It is a strength.
It is.
Okay.
100%.
Don't let anybody tell you anything different. If you need help, if you think you need help, you need help. Okay. Yeah. No successful person has become successful alone. Nobody.
I don't care who it is. Nobody.
I don't care who you think was successful without somebody. They had someone helping them or had someone along the way to talk to. Okay. So today, right now, if you want to start a business right now, go to someone who has a business. Go see, how did you start that business? Okay. If you don't have a car right now, go talk to someone who has a car. Say, how did you get this car? How did you save up to get it? Okay. If you have bad Wi-Fi like Chris Byrd, tell your friends, how'd you get that great Wi-Fi?
He got you, Chris.
But anyway, I was looking around like, how am I gonna get this man? How am I gonna get him? But anyway, we'll end it off on a light note.
I got no
I
comment.
always like to see Chris and everybody have fun and stuff, even if it's a really tough subject to talk about. Honorary Chris, you have something to say from the witness protection?
From the witness protection, yeah. No, obviously, thanks for letting me sit in on this. I always enjoy listening to what you two have to say, and being able to comment on it from time to time is wonderful. And as far as the topic goes, you're right. 988 is the number, and it is, as somebody who has definitely been in every boat and been through enough to sit there and go, look, I'm done with this. It like Byrd was saying, when you get to that point of you've hit the bottom of that barrel, it is hard to come back, but it's not impossible. And that's I think that's a takeaway, is that it's nothing is impossible. There's nothing you can't come back from, because as somebody, like I said, as somebody who's been there and has been like, all right, this is it. I'm done, and being able to come back from that. And it hasn't been great, to be completely honest. It hasn't, but it's been a lot better, and that's the important part. So it will get better. And see your therapist. I'm meeting my therapist tomorrow. I'm excited.
Okay.
See if you need the help, get the help.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna start seeing a therapist soon as well. So,
Look at y'all,
wonderful.
Look at y'all.
Yeah. I have trauma, guys. I got trauma.
Yeah.
We all have trauma, but
we're
gonna get to that after we go off air. So thank you everybody for listening. This is Chris
and Chris.
See y'all next time.